とありますか？
When we go back over the long, circuitous history of the band, we find you're the only one who has never really quit. You've always been there. Is that a fact that you're aware of?
Yeah, I'm the one who's always paid the bills.
I mean, is there any reason for that? Why you've been the only?
I don't know. I mean, people have come and gone for various reasons. Some, we've had disagreements along the way. Somehow or other, I guess, I've managed to maintain position without, while the disagreements have gone on. But as I said, that isn't exactly always the best place to be in, because I've always supported the band as well. Whereas people who've tended to have left and come back have actually, been in a financially improved position because of that. So, not that it's a big thing, but in a way, I'm fortunate because when we did that Union tour, there wasn't another bass player to worry about. So
Well, should there have been another bass player worried about it? Was there talk about?
No, never has been. Although, of course, when they did when John Anderson did the ABWH thing, they used Tony Levin to play with that. But, no, so yes, I guess I have been there all the time.
例えば他のメンバーたくさん入れ替わりありましたけど、かなりキャラクターの強烈な変な人間ばっかりいっぱいいて、その中でもやめずに入れるという、逆に相手がやめていくという、なんか秘訣はあるんですかね
？Throughout the history of the band, there's been some rather, shall we say, colorful characters coming in and out of the band, and you've stayed on, but they've sort of come and gone, or come back again, or whatever. Is there any sort of secret to maintaining your equilibrium there in the face of that sort of?
I don't know, really. I don't know whether it's just skill or luck. Probably the former. I guess you're going to translate the answers to later, right?
Yeah, when he wants them, he asks for them, or this gets taken down, transcribed later.
Right, okay. No, it's just never really come up, really. There was an occasion, actually, in the mid-70s when I was thinking of departing, and but it didn't come about. So.
Why did you think of departing in the mid-70s?
We were having, we were younger then, and we were having disagreements over who was writing the songs and the usual stuff, that bands go through. But I stuck with it, and and I think that maybe because I did, it's why the band has been able to last so long, because of the fact that maybe I'm probably have a bit to do with the stability factor of the band. So anyway, we're still here.
というか傍から見てると入れ替わりとかもあるんですが、この人がなんか実はバンドのそういう実務的な運営というか、バンマス的なそういうことをちゃんとしてる人なんではないかと。例えば誰かが抜けて新メンバーが入るときっていうのは、この人がすごく人選したりとか、割ときっちり見極めてから入れたりしてるという、そういう機能を果たしてないかなと思うんですけど、そんなことはないですかね。
One would get the impression that when you hold down the fort, you sort of take care of the necessary, maybe non-musical matters, sort of almost close to sort of management-related factors. And also, do you play a large role in who comes in and out of the band? Do you say, well, this guy is okay for it, but this guy is not okay for the band?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, he's right in assuming that. On the other hand, I've always tended to have a little bit to do with the kind of managerial side of the band. Yeah, I mean, I do have talents in that area. Although I would have hated to have ever been a manager, I think. But Yeah, and the changes haven't been that often. I mean, let's face it. It's. I mean, Trevor Rabin's considered the new guy, but he's been here for 12 years. You know, so it's like. And apart from that, it's just been. You know, we had the thing with Tony Kaye being there first, and then Rick Wakeman, and then a brief period of Patrick Moraz, and then back to Rick, and then back to Tony. You know, so it's like that's just kind of been the interchangeable keyboard player syndrome, and you know, and really that's the only thing. And of course, Alan, you know, has been in the band for 22 years. I mean, although we had Bill Bruford prior to him, you know, that was only for the first 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also I think sort of contracts and expands, and you know.
Yeah,
members, but some guys leave and some guys come back.
In a way, I've been fortunate because I've been able to play with the different people and with their different styles. And of course, obviously, I had quite a lot to do with choosing the successors, you know, or new people coming in. And in fact, I think the only one person that I didn't decided upon was Alan White, and that was John Anson wanted him because he was such a radically different drummer from Bill Bruford that I wasn't really sure that he would have been he was going to be the right replacement at the time. But through the passage of time, fortunately, Alan turned out to be you know, someone that I could learn from. So in fact, it benefited me in the long run from being able to play with two such diversely different players.
でもこう人が抜けるときに、つくしこの調子いいときに抜けやがってこの野郎って思う方なのか、はたまたすぐやめたましょうがじゃあ次に向かってこれ入れなきゃって思う方なのか、どっちに対してなんですかね。
Are you the type that let yourself get bothered by the fact that somebody has just left, or do you say, well, okay, I guess he's gone. I guess let's get on with it. Let's get on with it then, and not think about it.
Well, I don't know. It's a funny thing about change. It's as it can be as disappointing as it can be at the same time exciting, obviously, to have a new perspective. So no, I wouldn't say it, you know, it's like, no, you can't worry about the change too much. You have to just get on with the new thing, and you know, most of the time that's you know, it turns out to be something more exciting than not.
ちょっと具体的な話になるんですが、結局8人エースが3人抜けて、で5人で結局やってるわけです。やっぱりまあ僕らが見てても無理があるなと思ったんですが、やっぱり8人っていうのは無理があったのようが。
The band contracted from 8 members to 5, and he just the feeling that maybe 8 was a bit too much. So yeah, run a band with 8 members. What are the problems with having 8 people?
Well, that was never supposed to be a permanent situation. That was a speciality thing that we basically did, you know, as was the Union album. It was just a sort of a celebration of, you know, the I don't know, whatever it was at the time, 3 years of Yes, I guess. It's an odd number to choose for celebration, but that's what it was. And you know, so it never was really conceived that in any practical sense that after we'd done that tour that the band would have carried on like that, because it logistically it would have been too complicated to work with 2 drummers and 2 guitar players. And 2 keyboard players is actually probably the easiest thing to work with, but yeah, let's put it this way, it's nice that it's back to 5 right now.
この人自身はあんまりこれイエスといえばってイエスサウンドみたいなあんまりこだわってない方だと思うんですけど、この辺どうなんですかね。
Do you have a fixed image in your mind of what the Yes sound should be, or are you, as far as you're concerned, can it change like a chameleon? Should there be a fixed Yes sound?
Well, I think there is, by virtue of the do you want to get that, somebody?
Can they get in the other room?
I think there is by virtue of the fact that it's going to remain pretty much to some consistency as long as you've got John Anderson singing and me playing, and obviously every other member. Obviously the sound of the band has changed with the different changes of guitar player and keyboard player, but basically we just that's how we work. We just use the resources of the people who are there at the time and the way they play, and we play together, and we don't really go too much into trying to contrive a sort of image or sound, although I suppose we did go a little bit in that area when we did the 90125 album with Trevor Hall, and we did our Own of Lonely Heart was a bit of a project piece, to actually for Yes to do a dance track. This is a strange idea, but it, of course it came out working very well for us. So, what was the original question?
If they were, you thought there had to be a Yes sound, or you were more open to change.
No, I'm pretty open to change. I don't mind that, but I think at the same time there's a limit to how much it can change when you've got the same people playing.
Right.
でもジョン・アンダーソンみたいな人とりあえずなんかイエスサウンドは天空をかけるようななんかでなきゃいけないみたいなって、ああいう古代妄想に近いような、ああいう人はやっぱりなんかイエスはやっぱイエスじゃなきゃいけないみたいなこだわりがあると思うんですけど、それをやっぱりうまくコントロールしてるんですかね。
I guess that your take on the subject is in contrast to John Anderson, who maybe has more of a fixed idea of what the Yes sound should be. He's a little bit more particular about that, perhaps.
Is he? I don't know. Has he said that? I don't know.
He's just speculating here.
Well, I think John is mainly concerned about himself being well represented, to be honest, which is a natural thing for a singer to be. Obviously he wants his. I think John's happy as long as his voice is well represented.
Oh, I see, right.
Yeah, and whereas I tend to think more like a producer, looking at the overall kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I suppose in that way you could say it was different, but I think but John's take on that thing of I'm sure as long as his voice was well represented, he'd be happy whatever the music was.
Can you ever get out of control though, John? Maybe have more illusions about his role.
John does. Well, John has illusions about a lot of things. Yes, he does.
The vocal part's just one of those.
Yeah, John's a visionary. Some of his visions being clearer than others.
But does he ever go off on too far on a tangent? Do you think you have trouble controlling him?
No, he pretty much recognizes that he's maybe is more of a concept kind of person, and I think now that after all these years he's aware too that sometimes his concepts can be a little vague, and sometimes they're very good, so John is more of that nature, that's for sure, and I think he tends to be quite happy to leave more of the nuts and bolts and technology part of the whole system to myself or Trevor, deal with.
He also has a better grasp of what Yes is capable and what Yes is not capable of, so he'll take his projects elsewhere.
I don't know. I just think John enjoys working a lot. That's why he does a lot of extraneous projects. I don't know if it particularly helps the band very much, because I think he does a few too many. But there again, if that's what drives him and keeps him happy, then that's fine by me. We're a bit opposite in that way. I tend to be more minimalist in what I do outside of the band, in order to maintain, the kind of mystery element, I suppose. Whereas John blows that all the time. Anyway.
これの話でも付き合いきれないと思ったことは何度もあると思うんですが、
付き合いきれない。
しょうがねえなこいつはみたいな、
Have there ever been times when you felt sort of at the end of your rope in dealing with him or other members saying, they've just gone so far off?
I've known. Well, let's face it. We've now had a over 25-year relationship, so it's kind of like I'm sure I can be frustrating to him too, So, but I mean, obviously, we have our methods of dealing with that after all this time, and I think a certain amount of creative tension within the band is a good thing. I think if it's all too comfortable, then maybe then you lose the spark a bit, But we certainly don't have fist fights or anything. I mean, let's face it, I'm twice as big as he is anyway.
You wouldn't stand a
It's
chance.
a bit pointless.
イースの名前をどっちが使うかみたいな表の人がさすがに頭きたりしなかったんですかね。
How about when there was that sort of brouhaha over who would get rights to the Yes name? Was that particular? It must have been particularly irritating for you.
Well, not really, because in actual fact, it's something that had come up by accident, really, at the time of 90125. Especially when we had the hit Lonely Heart and everything, #1 in America. That at that point, the older members of the band asked for money, for us to use the name. So it kind of so there, I was sort of sitting there, and there was Steve Howe and Rick Wakeman and the ex-manager, and they all wanted money, because they knew there was money around. So by their own design, really, the name kind of got signed over to us, and they got money for it. And I don't know whether they regret that or not or later on, but it's pretty much ended up the names kind of belongs to our camp,
So I mean, you just go with the flow, and I guess at the end of the day, you made up pretty good.
In that case, I mean, it's not like we went out of our way to try and buy them out. It's that they came asking for money. So, as it was, I mean, it was still a bit of a pain having to pay it out, but
it's all done now.
Yeah, it's done now, exactly. So.
例えば話ちょっと前になるんですけど、90125でイエスが出るときに、本当はシネマっていう別のバンドでジョン・アンダーソンが来たもんだらイエスになるわけですよ。もしもあの時ジョン・アンダーソンが来なくて、そのままシネマっていうバンドでやってたら、今頃どうなってたと思いますか？
Getting back into the speculation game, but when there was talk about getting this band together called Cinema, and John Anderson came along, and the result was a new Yes album, 90125.
Yeah.
Let's wind back the clock a second. Let's say John Anderson didn't join on. What would have happened with Cinema and Yes?
The funny thing is that we already recorded Over Lonely Heart with Trevor singing it, and it would have probably still have been a #1 record. So I mean, I don't know, because unfortunately, when you got a record that strong, it pretty much, I'm sure if it had been called Cinema or not, Yes, it would still have been as big a hit. And so we would have been smiling, I guess.
Cinema could have maybe taken on a life of its own.
Well, at that point it definitely would have done, I'm sure, yeah. And, and so it was very much a toss-up that it went that way. I don't think Over Lonely Heart would have been any less of a hit if it had been by Cinema than by Yes. However, history is as it is, and John came back. And whose flowers are those anyway?
The photographer brought those. I don't know what he plans on doing with them. All I can say is I'm glad I'm not the one being photographed today. It's you, not me.
Hey. It's his wife's anniversary, really. He's just taking them home. Sorry.
意味を別にすれば、じゃあイエスっていう名前とかイエスにはそんなこだわりない方なんですかね。
So I guess, when it comes right down to it, you really don't have to be performing with a band called Yes. You could be in any band as long as you're, I guess, creatively happy.
Yeah, well, Yeah, if you're having success, of course. That's always the bottom line. In a way, just getting back to that last point, it's almost a little regrettable that it didn't knock them. Thinking that it's a shame that John came back or anything, but it's a little regrettable that we didn't have that opportunity at cinema to be able to sort of have a whole new life outside of Yes, because then, basically, I suppose then, then I would have had the option of both things to work on. So, but I've been doing some stuff anyway recently. So I live in Los Angeles now, and I am actually working on another project that within the next year we're going to try something with three other musicians I'm working with who aren't anything to do with the Yes camp.
Should we know about these people?
Well, I can't exactly just yet, no. But then by the end of the year maybe I'll be talking about it. It isn't all totally put together yet.
Musically, it's completely different from you.
Well, yeah, it's going to be different people. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I suppose it depends how strong my own influence is, whether how similar or not to Yes it is. So, but it's it's an interesting theory, but I can't tell you more about it now. Interesting combination of people.
この人の考えイエスからってどういうものそれじゃ
Yes, con.
このカッコは決心ってね、どんなことかするんじゃないですかね。するものなんですかね。
So this is kind of getting at the same thing we've been asking before, but is there any set picture in your mind of what Yes should be, of the kind of band Yes should be? Is it the Yes that exists right now? Is that the
well, that's good enough for now. I mean, if we can improve on it, fine. We're all happy at the moment in this particular setup, and the band is playing very well. And we've actually had a very enjoyable tour within ourselves, which has been a very pleasant experience. So so everything's healthy at the moment in that area. And even though I said I'm trying this other project, that's not necessarily going to mean any detriment to this unit, which is quite happy and healthy right now.
さて今回のアルバムなんですけど、90125以来のいわゆるコンテンポラリーサウンドみたいなところにかなり行ってるんですが、これやっぱりトレバーとあなたのやっぱアイデアがメインなんですかね。
This latest Yes album seems to delve into the more. It seems to display kind of a contemporary direction, and in that sense reminds me of 90125. Was that your and Trevor's input, maybe?
Yeah, I think if anything, it probably is a combination of a bit of the 70s Yes and the 80s Yes. I think you'll find elements of Fragile album there as well as 90125, and the big thing for us, of course, on this album was that we were working with this completely new tapeless technology, which has a lot to do with the sound quality.
Tapeless.
They've made the whole album with a hard drive, and which is the first time I think that anyone's really done that for all the instruments like bass guitar and guitar and voices too.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't use any tape.
Oh, that's amazing.
And Trevor was mainly at the forefront of that because he sort of like we had an engineer who understood it, but Trevor was very much trying to learn how to handle that too. I mean, it's basically like a lot of computer work with a lot of typing and stuff, but it was quite fascinating actually, yeah, because we didn't have any tape, and it was the whole album was on hard drive, and the voice quality and the sound of the bass guitar and guitars, came out really well, and it was the first system where that's been possible to do that.
So the advantage of the tapeless approach is the quality of the sound?
Quality of the sound, plus of course the maneuverability of being able to just go from one part of the song to the next, just like that, without having to wait for tape to wind to a place.
Oh, I see. So it speeds up the process.
Random access, yeah.
Right, okay.
To any point you want to go and try any new idea you might want to try in that section. Plus, of course, no tape degradation as well, during the course of running it over their heads. And up until now, the actual kind of as with the Sony digital tape machines, the sound was a little bit like that, but with the system we use, which was basically Pro Tools, which is the company that make it, and combined with Macintosh computers, we sort of managed to get this new program that where the sound was nice and smooth and was very manipulable. You could make the sound smoother or harder or whatever So, and I think we were pretty much on the cutting edge of that. I don't think anyone else had done that at that time. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, so that was kind of the focus of the album actually.
もちろんその20分とか25分とかそういう雰囲気は作ってなかったですよ。もう作るの嫌だったみたいな。
Do you think you guys are you're no longer going to be making 20 and 25 minute suites?
Well, there is one on the new album, Endless Dream. There's a 20-minute long piece.
So I guess you can't. So I guess to a certain degree, you really can't get away from making those suites any longer.
Well, I don't know. I think everything is possible.
It's almost faded, though, it seems.
We enjoy that long form of music, and you know what audiences kind of do too in a live show, because it's a bit more like it's like the classical music or something like that. People, it's got a bit more substance, Like I've been to see the Forum in LA. I've been to see Aerosmith and stuff like that, and quite honestly, I just can't really, where every song is 3.5 minutes long and it begins and ends, it's not really that substantial as a concert going thing. I guess it's okay if you just want to jig around and, and you're just there to dance and stuff, but Yes has always taken that other route, for trying to provide some kind of deeper kind of entertainment and value. And that long piece is part of that, system.
やっぱりライブだとなんか昔の長めのやつがどんどんやるとなんかむちゃくちゃ盛り上がるわけで、昔の曲だとさせていけない。いい加減にしろと思ったしかないですからね。
And I guess it's also a crowd pleaser when you play live, like when you get closer to the edge.
Yeah, close to the edge. Yeah.
Close to the edge. Do you ever grow impatient with the older fans, though? Like, that's the stuff they expect, and you're thinking, we moved on from that.
Well, no, because on the new album we have this piece called "Endless Dream," which is a 20-minute long piece, and it's consistently gone down very well, on this tour so far, and that's with a lot of young, newer fans as well, and. You can't really worry too much about what your audience expects of you. You've got to lead them a little bit, and if some people don't like it, I guess they just leave. But then, fortunately, Yes always seems to have had a good influx of younger audience that have come in at the same time.
もう最後の方でいいんですが、次のアルバムも同じメンバーで作れるんですかね。
Will you go into the next recording with the same members as now?
Yes. Yeah. I think there was talk about maybe doing some work with Rick Wakeman as well. That's possible.
ます。あと、この人のソロももう全然出てないんですけど、そのアルバムを作る気はないですかね。結構好きだったんですけどね。
出たことないでしょ。
一回だけ。
He liked the one solo album you put out. There's no talk of another solo.
Yes, well, I'm sort of working on that now.
Is that what you were talking about with the?
Well, you see, it's hard to say. It started off as me doing another solo album because, in actual fact, the last one I made was actually 20 years ago. Whereas John does one every month, I do one every 20 years. But then that sort of developed a little bit into this other thing. But I will be coming out with something a little more personal than Yes in the next year. Yeah.
Really?
In one form or another. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Cycle is up.
Yes,
2 decades.
that's right. Yeah. 20 years later.
じゃあ最後に一つだけこれ全然関係ないですけど、実はバブルスと合体したドラマって一時期ありましたが、イエスの。バブルスが入ったイエスっていうのは。1枚だからバブルス。あれ結構好きなんですけど、今だから聞きたいんですが、あれ誰のアイデアだったんですか、バブルスで立つのは。
One last question here, which sort of coming from left field, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
There was that one album by Yes where the 2 guys from Buggles came
Drama, yeah.
Yeah, Drama. He likes that album. Whose idea was that? I mean, now that sort of the statute of limitations is up on that.
It was my idea.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. I knew Trevor and Jeff anyway, but it was a funny thing how that came about because in actual fact they had became very big with Video Kills the Radio Star, which is a very big record worldwide. And then actually what happened is they came to Yes's management at the time in order so that they could get management. And then so of course he readily agreed to do that. And what happened then was that then there was some problems within Yes, and Rick and John suddenly ended up leaving, and there were these other 2 guys kind of in the office who happened to play keyboards and sing. So I managed to persuade Trevor Horn that he could replace John Anderson. He never was convinced that he could, but so that's how that album came about. And I like that album a lot. It's got a lot of good memories for me, and some bad ones too, because we had to rush it extremely, because we had a tour that was booked that couldn't be moved, so we really had to. We were really up against the clock, but in some ways I think that pressure helped. It's one of my favorite albums. Yeah.
勇気ったらみたいな気がするんですけどね。なかなかその大胆なことはできんだろうって気もするんですけど。
So it took a lot of courage on your part, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. It did. And it wasn't, that well received at the time, but a lot of people now say that they think it's one of the better Yes albums.
So, right.
Yeah.
Drama.
Yeah.
わかりました。じゃあそれで。
Okay.
We'll get our photos here and then we'll be on our way.
What's going on with the flowers?
We'll soon find out.